My brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when your heart feels heavy, your mind feels tired, and your soul whispers, I don't know how much more I can take. You look around and nothing seems to be moving. Every door you knock on remains shut. Every effort you make seems invisible. You make dua and it feels like the silence is louder than the answer. You sit at night asking yourself, when will things change for me? When will relief come? When will Allah send help? And then, in the middle of your exhaustion, just when you are about to give up, Allah sends something. A message, a person, a solution, a moment, something so unexpected, so perfectly timed, that it leaves you speechless. It makes you realize Allah was never ignoring you. Allah was preparing you. Allah was watching you. Allah was strengthening you. And the help He sends, it comes in ways your mind could never calculate. Sometimes help comes the moment you cry in sujood and say, Allah, I leave it to you. Sometimes it comes through a stranger who says one sentence that changes your entire perspective. Sometimes it comes through a delay that saves you from a disaster you didn't even know was coming. And sometimes it comes from a direction you never knew existed. Allah's help does not follow your logic. Allah's help follows His wisdom. And if you're listening to this right now, perhaps this is your sign. Perhaps this message is the unexpected help Allah wanted you to hear. Perhaps you've been drowning in silence and Allah is telling you, hold on a little longer. You are closer to your breakthrough than you think, because the one who created paths out of the Red Sea, the one who cooled the fire for Ibrahim, the one who brought water out of a desert for Hajar, that same Allah is the one who is watching over you. And the help He sends will always arrive at the exact second your heart needs it. Never late, never early, always perfect. When Allah delays something in your life, it is never a denial. It is a divine arrangement perfectly aligned with His knowledge, His mercy, and His plan for you. Sometimes you stand in front of a closed door, knocking again and again, wondering why it won't open. You question yourself, you question your decisions, and in moments of weakness, you even begin to wonder if Allah is displeased with you. But what you don't see is the unseen world of Allah's wisdom working behind that closed door. You don't see what He is protecting you from. You don't see what He is preparing you for. You don't see the strength He is building inside you as you wait. And yet that wait, that silence, that uncertainty, these are not empty moments. They are moments of growth that you will one day thank Allah for. Think back to the times in your life when something didn't happen the way you wanted. You were frustrated, maybe even heartbroken. But later you realized that if things had gone your way, your life might have taken a completely different turn. One that could have harmed you, weakened you, or distanced you from Allah. That realization itself is a sign that Allah's timing was never random. It was precise. It was intentional. It was designed with love. And sometimes the only way to understand it is by looking back years later and saying, Alhamdulillah, I didn't get what I wanted back then. Allah's timing works in ways we cannot always comprehend. When a believer is sincere in their dua, when their heart is connected to Allah, when they try their best to remain patient, Allah does not ignore them. He hears every whisper. He sees every tear. He knows every thought that passes through the heart. But the response might be delayed, not because Allah has forgotten you. Never. But because the right moment has not arrived. The right people are not ready. The right circumstances have not aligned. Your heart may still need refining. Your mindset may still need strengthening. Sometimes Allah delays something because the version of you today cannot handle the blessing you are asking for. You might think you are ready, but Allah knows you better than you know yourself. He knows your breaking point, your capacities, your hidden weaknesses, your potential, and what kind of future you can carry. So He delays, not to punish you, but to prepare you. He delays so the blessing becomes a reward, not a burden. He delays so when the moment finally arrives, you have the maturity, the wisdom, and the emotional strength to hold it without losing yourself. And there are times when the delay itself is the blessing. Imagine if every dua was answered instantly. You would never grow patience. You would never develop trust. You would never experience that closeness to Allah that only emerges in moments of waiting. It is in those quiet periods of uncertainty that your heart learns to submit. It is in that waiting that your faith becomes stronger. Why? Because you're learning to rely on Allah even when nothing makes sense. You're learning to say, if Allah has written this for me, it will come. And if He has not, then something better will take its place. So the next time you face a delay, remember this: Allah's timing is flawless. He is never late. He is never early. He delivers exactly when the soul is ready to receive. And when he finally sends his help, you will look back and realize every second of waiting was worth it. Sometimes the greatest help Allah sends you comes through people you never imagined would play a role in your life. It may be someone you barely know, someone you once ignored, or someone who appears in your life for just a moment, and yet that moment becomes a turning point. This is how Allah works. He sends support through the most unexpected hands so that you never begin to rely too heavily on individuals. You learn to rely only on Him. People are just the means. Allah is the one who sends them at exactly the right time. Think of a moment in your life where someone offered you kindness or guidance out of nowhere. Maybe it was a teacher who encouraged you, a colleague who recommended you, a stranger who gave you directions, a friend you weren't close to who suddenly became a source of strength. These people were not random. They were sent. They were chosen. They were placed in your path by the one who controls hearts, opportunities, and destinies. You might not have prayed for that specific person, but you prayed for relief. And Allah chose that person to be the carrier of your relief. When Prophet Yusuf was thrown into the well by his own brothers, it wasn't his family who saved him. It wasn't someone he knew. It was a passing caravan strangers. When Musa fled Egypt, not knowing where to go or who would help him, Allah sent him to the home of a man he had never met before. When Maryam was in pain and alone, Allah provided her with sustenance from sources she could not explain. The pattern appears again and again. The help of Allah comes, but often not through those closest to you. It comes from places your mind cannot predict. Sometimes the people you expect help from are the very ones who disappoint you, because Allah wants to remove your expectations from creation. He wants to teach you that help is not tied to relationships, status, or familiarity. It is tied to His will. So He sends support through others, not because they are powerful, but because He wants to remind you that He alone is the source of power. This protects your heart from depending on the wrong places. Because if you started believing that certain people were the reason you succeeded, your heart might become attached to them instead of Allah. And there will be times when you meet someone only for a short while, yet their impact lasts a lifetime. You might meet someone on a bus, in a workplace, in a class, or even online. One sentence they say, one bit of advice they offer, one gesture of kindness they show, it shifts your entire direction. Again, this is not coincidence. This is divine placement. Allah moves hearts, shifts circumstances, and orchestrates meetings in ways we cannot understand. But here is the deeper wisdom. Allah also removes people for the same reason. A person you trusted might walk away. A friend might distance themselves. A relationship might end, and at first it hurts. But later you realize their absence made room for someone far better, someone more sincere, someone whose presence brought you closer to Allah, not further from Him. Even that was help, just disguised in heartbreak. So when someone unexpected helps you, don't say, I was lucky. Say, Allah sent them. When someone supports you without reason, don't say, what a coincidence. Say, this is Allah's plan unfolding. And when someone leaves, don't say, why me? Say, Allah is redirecting me to something better. Once you realize that every person who enters your life, whether for a moment or a lifetime, arrives with Allah's permission, you will stop fearing loss and start trusting His replacements. Because the help Allah sends through people is never random. It is always intentional, always meaningful, and always a reminder that He is closer to you than you think. There is a powerful truth every believer must understand. Allah's help often arrives after you take a step, not before. Not when you're sitting in comfort. Not when you are waiting for everything to fall into place. It comes the moment you show Allah that you are willing to try, even with trembling hands and a tired heart. Many people want miracles without movement, but the pattern of Allah's help throughout history shows us that miracles follow effort, not the other way around. Allah wants to see you strive, even if what you have is small, even if your resources are limited, even if your strength feels almost gone. Think of Hajar, alone in the desert with her infant son. She didn't sit and wait for water to fall from the sky. She ran between Safa and Marwa. Not once, not twice, but 7 times. Her legs were exhausted, her throat dry, her heart overwhelmed with fear. And yet she moved. She moved because she trusted that Allah sees every step. And only after she gave everything she could, only after she pushed herself beyond what she thought possible, did the miracle of Zamzam burst forth from beneath her child's feet. The message is clear. Allah rewards effort, even when the outcome seems impossible. In your own life, you might be waiting for a job, but you haven't sent a single application. You might be praying for better relationships, Yet you haven't taken the step to communicate, to apologize, or to improve yourself. You might be asking Allah for success, but you haven't taken the first step toward learning, building, or trying. Allah does not expect you to have all the answers. He does not expect you to be perfect, but He expects sincerity. He expects movement. He expects that you will at least walk toward the door before He opens it for you. Taking a step doesn't always mean doing something big. Sometimes the step is emotional. Sometimes it's spiritual. Sometimes it's a tiny action that no one sees but Allah. Waking up for Fajr when you're tired. That's a step. Making dua when you feel hopeless. That's a step. Refusing to give in to despair. That's a step. Each one shows Allah your commitment. And when Allah sees sincerity, He multiplies the reward, the strength, and the guidance in ways you could never imagine. But here's the deeper wisdom. Allah wants you to taste effort so you appreciate His help when it comes. If everything were handed to you easily, you would forget who opened the doors. You would think it was your talent, your intelligence, your connections. By making you struggle a little, Allah ensures that when His help finally arrives, your heart says, "This was Allah, not me." It purifies your gratitude. It humbles you. It strengthens your bond with Him. And sometimes the step you take is not outward, it's inward. Letting go of a sin is a step. Trusting Allah when you're scared is a step. Forgiving someone even though they hurt you is a step. All of these actions open doors to help you never expect. When you take a step toward Allah, He comes running toward you with mercy and guidance more powerful than any effort you could make. So don't stand still waiting for the perfect moment. Don't wait for your fear to disappear. Don't wait for circumstances to magically improve. Move. Try. Walk, even if slowly. Show Allah that you are trying your best, even in your weakest state. Because the help of Allah is promised to the believer who makes an effort. And when you take that first step, however small, however shaky, you'll witness help arriving in ways that remind you that Allah has been watching every moment, waiting for the right time to lift you higher. Sometimes the help Allah sends enters your life wrapped in tests that you don't immediately recognize as help. In fact, many of the hardest moments you've ever lived through were actually Allah's way of guiding you, shaping you, redirecting you, or protecting you. But when you are in the middle of the storm, all you feel is the rain. You don't yet see the flowers that will grow from it. You don't see the wisdom. You don't see the protection. You only feel the pressure. Yet in those moments, Allah is closest to you. And the very difficulty that scares you today may be the reason you find relief, clarity, and strength tomorrow. Tests are a form of divine construction. Allah is building you, not breaking you. He is removing things from your path that you could not remove yourself. He is pulling you away from people who would have harmed you. He is closing doors that lead to destruction. But because the process is painful, the heart in its weakness asks, "Why me?" What you don't realize is that every test you face carries a hidden mercy. Sometimes Allah takes something away from you not to hurt you, but to free you. Sometimes He delays something not to frustrate you, but to prepare you. Sometimes He lets you feel loneliness, so you finally return to Him with sincerity, realizing He was always enough. When you look at the stories in the Quran, the pattern becomes clear. Every prophet faced tests that felt impossible. Musa was cornered between an army and the sea, and only then did the miracle happen. Yusuf was thrown into a well, enslaved, imprisoned. The tests kept coming, and each one pushed him toward the throne Allah had written for him. Maryam was alone, in pain, struggling, and only through that struggle did the miracle of Isaac come into the world. These tests were not punishments. They were preparation. They were elevation. They were doors disguised as walls. In your own life, the test you are facing might be the reason Allah removes arrogance from your heart. The heartbreak you went through might be Allah protecting you from a far greater pain. The financial struggle you faced might be pushing you towards skills, opportunities, or habits that will shape your future. The loneliness you feel might be a divine signal asking you to return to Salah, to Dua, to the Quran. The test itself is the help, but because the help is disguised, you don't immediately recognize it. Allah's tests are personalized. They are tailored to what your soul needs to grow. And He never burdens a soul with more than it can handle. That means if you are facing something heavy right now, Allah already knows you have the strength to carry it. Even if you don't see that strength yet, even if you feel exhausted, even if your heart feels weak, Allah sees the potential you cannot see. And here is something many people forget: when Allah tests you, it means He is preparing to give you something greater. No test ends without reward, without wisdom, without spiritual growth. The pain you're feeling today will one day become the reason you thank Allah. You will look back and realize that the test you hated the most was the turning point you needed the most. So instead of seeing tests as signs of abandonment, see them as signs of love. Allah only refines those He wants to elevate. He only tests those He wants to draw closer. And He only breaks the heart of a believer to rebuild it in a better way, with more faith, more reliance, and more clarity than before. One day you will look back and say, that test wasn't the end. It was the beginning of everything Allah had planned for me. In the end, my brothers and sisters, remember this powerful truth. Allah's help is always closer than you think. The delays, the unexpected people, the small steps you take, and even the tests that shake your heart, they are all part of a divine story being written for you with precision, mercy, and wisdom. Nothing you are going through is random. Nothing you have faced is wasted. Every tear, every prayer, every moment of patience has been seen by the one who never forgets, never overlooks, and never abandons those who turn to Him. Your journey may feel heavy right now, but Allah is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more connected to Him. Relief is coming, openings are coming, blessings are coming, and they will arrive from directions you never imagined, because that is how Allah honors the believer who holds on to hope even in darkness. Trust that He will send help the moment your heart needs it most, in ways more beautiful than anything you planned. So keep your faith alive, keep your dua sincere, keep walking, even when the path feels unclear. Because the Lord who helped His prophets through the greatest difficulties is the same Lord who is watching over you at this very moment. If this message touched your heart, don't forget to share this video, like it, and subscribe so others can find the reminder their soul might be longing for. May Allah bless you and ease every step of your journey.